Cisneros,
Here.
Good,
Here.
Grande,
Here.
Sowell,
Present.
Tony.
Present.
Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is call for public comment. Before we begin public comment, I would like to remind everyone of some ground rules for speaking during this meeting. Specifically, under the State Bar's policy regarding public comment, members of the public cannot cede their time to another speaker. Any attempts to deceive the board by disguising your voice, using different aliases or names to participate in public comment or accent is by extension not allowed as impermissible under the State Bar's policy against disruptive and/or disorderly conduct that may result in removal from the meeting. We appreciate your cooperation in maintaining a respectful and orderly environment for all attendees. I'd like to remind everyone that under the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, public comments must pertain to items that are on the agenda or be related to matters that are within the jurisdiction of this agency. Specifically, the Board Executive Committee is responsible for the effective functioning, maintenance, and development of the board, oversight of strategic and essential operation matters, including legislative relations and appointments to volunteer entities. State Bar staff will attempt to call members of the public in the order that they appear in the attendee pool. For those who are participating by Zoom video, you should have a function for virtually raising your hand. It is a hand icon and should appear at the bottom center of your screen. If you wish to address the board, please click on the hand icon now and State Bar staff will call on you in order that hands are raised. For those who are participating by phone, you may virtually raise your hand by pressing *9. That is the star key, then number 9. Again, doing so will alert staff that you would like to make a comment and State Bar staff will call on you and open your microphone so that you can address the board. For those participating from a notice location, please alert State Bar members there that you would like to make a comment. Due to time restrictions, we cannot allow more than 2 minutes for each speaker. Please note that the staff will have an on-screen countdown timer visible to all attendees during the portion of your comment. The timer's 2-minute countdown will begin as soon as you start your comment, and the on-screen timer will flash throughout the final 10 seconds. Michelle, do we know how many members of the public are wishing to make public comment?
Yes, we have 2 advanced signups, 0 in person, and though one of the advanced signups I don't see present yet. And first up, we have Henri Marini.
Good morning, Anya Marini. I run a independent journal platform called Audit the Government. I want to talk about a demand that I have for this executive committee, which is to hopefully provide some training for the board, I think, on relevant material matters, particularly on the reporting for rules of professional conduct and some of the analysis therein. I think it's important that board members are especially trained on Rule 1.7, which is the topic of professional conduct in the State Bar, particularly what constitutes as relevance for material conflict of interest and immaterial conflict of interest. I think a necessary training is due for the board, specifically on how many times, say, the bar has ruled on which matters do constitute as a material conflict of interest and which matters don't. I think in particular, especially as an advancing society, one does not simply have to be a direct representative attorney for somebody while also holding a material position elsewhere to constitute a material conflict of interest. For example, somebody could very well be non-represented attorney while simultaneously holding, say, a board president position in an organization like a nonprofit, that they still do provide very clear executive power and clear conflict of interest therein. Even though they're not representing the client directly in court, if that organization, say, happens to be an intervener in a case, it's clear that there's a very clear conflict of interest. They hold direct fiduciary, policy, and executive power over that organization, while simultaneously they're not representing that organization, but they are representing a defense counsel for a separate entity that is directly involved with that same organization where they serve as a president of the board on.
Thank
And in
you,
fact,
Mr. Marini. That concludes your public comment. Before we move on to the next advanced sign-up, can I please confirm with the remote trustees if you have any members of the public present at your locations?
None here in San Francisco.
Confirming none. The next person up, I don't see with their hand up or on the room. Nadine Mazard, are you present? Confirming Nadine is not present. That concludes public comments.
All right. Thank you very much. Chair doesn't have any report today. We'll move on to business. Item 2.1, approval of specified contracts pursuant to Business and Professions Code, Section 6008.6. An agenda approval of specific contracts pursuant to that item. This item is being presented by Principal Procurement Analyst Rizal Zendejas from Office of Finance. Hello.
I do not see Giselle in the room.
I just joined. Are you able to hear me, Michelle?
I can hear you, yes.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much. So thank you again, Grizel Sendejas here, Principal Procurement Analyst. So today we're asking for approval of two IT contracts that you have on the agenda list. So the first one we have is NTT Cloud Communications. This provides Microsoft Teams voice communication services. They support the phone systems and voice features. The office is seeking approval for $90,000. We currently have a master service agreement in place. The funding covers one additional year of service, so that would be starting from June 2026 through the end of May 2027. And that's bringing the total agreement value that you see at the bottom, the total 513,153 total for that contract. And the second item we have is also for IT. That's Total Communication Solutions. They are a reseller of the Zoom licenses. This is an annual subscription. They support the video conferencing and meeting management services that we currently use at the State Bar. We also have a master agreement in place. The office is seeking to extend for an additional service year. So they're asking for 105,580. This will cover the licenses starting from June 2026 through the end of June 2027. With that, the total value of the agreement will be 196,538. So I will pause there if there are any questions. We did update the chart to show the actual contract value that we're showing, and in the narrative, we included the total contract amount so you can see the value of the master agreement.
Thank you. Any questions for Grizel? Vice Chair Tony.
You know, I have a decent idea of what Zoom is because we're using it now. And I have less understanding of Microsoft Teams voice communication services. And if you could tell me the difference a little bit, that would be helpful. I know Microsoft Teams as a alternative to Zoom for these type of meetings, but I'm not sure that you may be talking about something else.
Yeah, that's what it is. And IT can probably fill in more of the details, but for Microsoft Teams internally, we do use that to also set up meetings similar to Zoom. So I believe the offices have transitioned to Teams, but in connecting rooms, we're still using Zoom. That's why we have two separate licenses. I don't know if there's a bigger plan to
I can add
transition.
to this, Grizel.
Perfect.
Trustee Tony, not only is it Teams like the remote meeting, but it is now the phones for State Bar staff as well. So when somebody calls my office line, it rings through Teams, and that's what the voice communication services is. It replaces the hardline phones that were previously there.
Good to know. Good to know. I mean, I certainly support this. It at some point when we see these things and there are expenses that replace other expenses, like you just explained, Laura, it just be nice because I figured this wasn't a duplication but was a separate thing, but I just don't know. So thank you very much. That's a very, very satisfying response.
Any other questions or comments or a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion by trustee Good, second by trustee Soel. Roll call vote, please.
Good,
Aye.
Grande,
Aye.
Sowell,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Cisneros.
Aye.
With 5 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Griselle.
You?
Next on the agenda is the approval of specified admissions-related contracts pursuant to Business and Professions Code 6008.6. And again, we get to continue with you, Griselle.
Yes, thank you very much. So the second agenda are for items related to admissions. So today we have two facility approvals for the July 2026 exam. The first one you see on the list is for Weston LAX. That's a Southern California location. They're requesting $150,000 for that contract amount. And we have for the Northern California test site, Weston St. Francis, the office is requesting $176,000 for that contract amount. And the third is a new contract issued for Prometric. This vendor was selected through an RFP process. They're selected to administer the first year law students examinations for the next 2 years. If this contract is approved, they're aiming to begin work for the October 2026 administration and continue for the June 2027, October 2027, and June 2028. This is for a 2-year term, and the office estimated the value based on recent exam cycles, and that's what we've estimated would be for those 2 years. Are there any questions for the 3 contracts?
Thank you, Griselle. Any questions? Yes, Vice Chair Tony.
On the 2 Weston contracts, in recent past meetings when we've been presented these contracts, there was a note about a overrun that we were being asked to approve, 25, 30%, something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but maybe some of you will remember that. And I just want to know, is the 150 inclusive, like say for the LAX, is that inclusive? Is that already baked in? So this is a not to exceed and it might be less, or is there another cushion ahead on top of this?
So
Yes.
Mark, on the last page of the report, there's a table that shows the 30%. So the overage for, you used Weston LAX first, so it's 150 that you're approving. The 30% is additional 45, not to exceed 195. And as a reminder, when we do those overages, both the chair of the board and myself approve it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for pointing me to that section. I appreciate it.
Yes, trustee Soel.
I know we've approved a lot of contracts related to the July exam, and I'm just wondering when we'll kind of get maybe a totaling of by category of what we've approved.
So these should be the last 2 exam sites we need for July 2026. So after this, I can work with admission staff too. compile the cost estimates for July 26th at this point.
Okay, thank you for that. And just note that we don't do anything to help the folks that are taking the exam with parking, right? That Westin in San Francisco, if it's the Westin that's downtown, that's probably going to be a fairly expensive park for a few days.
It might be, yes. The parking rates, we don't cover parking for test takers or applicants. We do for proctors.
Okay. Good to know. All right, thank you.
And Tara did reply just quickly to that question. So you mentioned that they do offer alternative parking spaces also, so that may help with some of the pricing.
Any other comments, or do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move the item.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion by trustee Soel, second by trustee Good. Vote, please.
Good.
Aye.
Rondé,
Aye.
Sowell,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Cisneros.
Aye.
With 5 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries.
All right, thank you, folks, for those two open agenda items. The Board Executive Committee will now move to a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 11126, Subdivision E2A, for the agendized item. The Board Executive Committee will reconvene in open session to announce any reportable action from closed session. Do we have an estimate of how long we think we'll be here? Half hour? Hour?
I think that 20 to 30 minutes is sufficient.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. With that, we'll see everyone over there, and we'll be back in public when we're done.
We are now live and recording.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, folks. This is the returning out of closed session for the State Bar of California Board Executive Committee. We have no reportable items out of the closed session, and with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.